My name's Adam, and I'm planning on becoming the world's fastest marathon runner in a suit, which, medically speaking, isn't ideal, kid. And why? Because I saw the record being set a few years ago, and I thought maybe, just maybe, I could do that. But then, someone got there first. This hunt from New Zealand. With the time just over 6 minutes faster than mine, it should be possible on paper. Less so when you dress for a funeral. But to beat a time like Hunt's, we're gonna have to bring out every stop, every 1% improvement that we can think of to eke out maximum performance. This is TR3 running, and over the next year, we're gonna document the whole thing, starting now. But how realistic is all of this? We've come to the track to find out. Just did a lap of easy running. I'm about to do some strides, and then we're going to do 2 or 3 laps of sort of VO2 max effort running. I'm not going to do any drills, which was the original plan, because I'm worried that my pants will split, and yeah, I don't want that to happen, so. Right. Just done some strides there, and they were f***ing hard, so I have no idea what these reps are going to be like. What I can say for certain already is that I'm definitely going to need a new suit. I can't even get a full stride with these trousers. And if these trousers don't rip by the end of the day, then we'll be very lucky. This is definitely going to be harder than I thought. Oh, I feel suffocated. All right, let's do one more.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what the he's thinking. Absolute craziness. Look at him. That is a man fighting for his life. It is a fairly windy day, but it's not that hot. Here he comes. Oh god, he's slowing down. That's not a good sign. Oh, he stopped. Oh shit. Oh dear. Oh, goodness gracious me.
We'll call that a 3/4 rep. All right, I'm done. I'm so done. Legs feel fine. The lungs don't feel fine. I feel very hot. It's not a particularly hot day. It might look hot, but of course it never gets that hot here, especially at this time of year. So yeah, I think this just plays into the fact that overheating and heat control, heat regulation is going to be the key thing to work on for this. Like, it's crazy. My legs feel good, my lungs are gone, but I think that's partly because of that, and also because I just went off too fast both times. It's been a while since I've been on the track, but more than anything, yes, heat regulation is going to be critical to this. Right, well, to give a little bit of context to this thing, it all started in 2025 when this guy from Singapore set this world record. And I knew from my own experience being in the heat that heat adaptation was a bit of a superpower. Got a video on that in the top right if you're interested. And I thought, based on that, I could give it a crack myself. But then Jason Hunt beat me to it. But we're not giving up yet. So this is my current situation. My marathon time is 2:45. I'm 30 years old, and I'll be 31 by the time I do London, so coming towards the sort of end of my marathon running prime time. And I'm off the back of a massive injury. I had a stress fracture, which has took me out for about 9 months, and I'm sort of coming back from that, trying to rebuild fitness and recover. So that's where we're at now. But with all that in mind, to beat Jason Hunt's time, we're gonna have to train smarter than anyone else. So to train smarter, we need to actually think smarter. So we've come up with a little philosophy that we're following that has 4 sort of key pillars. And the first is solid and consistent training. Now this is the most critical thing. It underpins everything that we're gonna do going forward, and it probably should for you as well. You know, people like focus on like running shoes and gels and like whatever else, but honestly, none of that matters unless you are actually getting out and running consistently and training. Everything else is just a little sprinkling on top that makes it better. So that's the key thing. We're going to follow Jack Daniel's training plan for that, but there are loads of other options out there that you could follow. The second thing, and we've already touched on this, is heat adaptation. So this is definitely going to be the differentiator that separates us from the average person out there running in a suit or whatever else. I know from my own experience that it's like a bit of a superpower, and I think that's really going to be what underpins our performance in this effort. The third thing is 1% optimizations. That is those little sprinklings on top that, just chip away at the time and just bring it down by 10 minutes or so. That's the beetroot shots, the saunas, the right shoes, the right gels, all of these little things that are only useful if you already have a good time. And then the fourth and final pillar is a deep understanding. And that's sort of the glue that holds all this stuff together, because we're coaching ourselves. So if we don't understand this stuff, we're not going to be able to do it right. So critically understanding, looking at the studies and reading books and understanding all this stuff is going to be essential, and also going to underpin everything that we do. And over the next 10, 11 months, we're going to share all of that learning in future videos so that you can understand what we've learned as well. So that's the plan at a high level. But next we're going to look at what we're actually going to do on a timeline, look at the tangible steps that we're going to take to make this plan a reality. So we had a good chat about the timeline. Well, I did at least. But watching the footage back, I could see Dane's soul slowly leaving his body, so I'll spare you the same fate. Instead of my aimless waffle, he has the plan from now until race day in April 2027 in 60 seconds. From now until mid-September, it's all about recovery. I'm still coming back from a stress fracture, and if I don't heal from that, then nothing else matters. So I'm cross-training, strength training, and building back slowly. Mid-September is the Great North Run, which is my favourite event of the year. I'll hopefully run the race at an easy Zone 2 effort, as I'll be healthy, but I won't be fit. I can then start building my base in earnest from there. To kickstart that, in October, I'll head to Kenya for my first ever altitude camp. That'll give me a fitness boost and provide me with the tools I'll need to train at altitude. The physiological benefits that I'll get from altitude will have faded by race day, but more on that later. From November through to February, I'm focused on heat adaptation, so this is the bedrock of the training plan. I'll be living and training in the tropics of Southeast Asia, getting used to high heat and humidity, and sweating buckets in the process. In the middle of this, I'll do a mini block of altitude training using the tools I picked up in Kenya, and this will give me a physiological boost that will translate to race day. And then into March, I'll go somewhere cooler to do my peak training. The idea is this is the period where I'll do the key workouts and I'll be at my fittest. Heat and humidity make it hard to execute workouts effectively, so being somewhere cool like Europe will mean that I can actually work at my best. Then, as race day approaches, I'll head back to somewhere hot, probably in Europe this time, to get a last minute heat adaptation boost. And then finally back in the UK for a week or so before race day. So, how's that for succinct? Okay. So I've just woken up at a campsite and I thought, you know what? This is probably the perfect time to tell you about the Guinness rules. For some reason. So the first rule is kind of obvious. You have to run a full marathon, and that is defined as 42.195 kilometers or 26 miles and 385 yards. You have to wear a full suit consisting of a jacket, waistcoat and trousers, all of which have to be the same material, alongside a tie, shirt and socks. For shoes, you can choose to wear formal shoes or running shoes. Bit of a no-brainer there, I think. The suit also has to be pre-approved by Guinness, so you've got to send them some photos of it and make sure that they actually accept it before you do the race. And then they have a bunch of ideas of other articles you can wear, like an umbrella, suitcase or bowler hat, as if I really want an extra piece of equipment. It has to be an officially sanctioned race approved by an athletic governing body, which obviously for London Marathon shouldn't be a problem. You're allowed to take rest breaks, but the clock's still going to run, so that's going to count towards the time. And then there's kind of the most logistical, painful part of the challenge, which is submitting appropriate evidence according to Guinness. Because apparently finishing the race or just crossing the line in the suit is not enough. I guess you could get changed just before the finish line or something, I don't know. So they want either one of these three items: an uncut video of the entire race showing the full costume at start and finish lines, one photograph of the participant for every mile or 2 kilometers of the race, or statements from independent witnesses who have ran with you throughout the entire race. And there always needs to be 2 of these people running with you for the entire time. Those can be 2 different people at 2 different points, but at any given moment there needs to be 2 people with you. So essentially you'd need 2 pacers who can run at your pace to run alongside you for part of all the entire race. And then you've got to submit one of those 3 items of evidence alongside a bunch of other evidence, including cover letter, race results, and some witnesses and media statements and so on. So they don't really mess around. So that's the main rules that Guinness have provided for me to finish this challenge, and all seems pretty achievable. Just some logistical headaches, I guess. So the journey starts today. And if you want to follow along, subscribe and you'll see all the latest updates. Do you think we can do it? Because after today, I'm not feeling very confident. But let's see what happens.